My name is Vivian Grant, and on the morning I turned 40, I packed a folding chair, a thermos of coffee, and a lemon cake for a woman who had been dead for 20 years. I was the only one going. My mom and the rest of my family had brunch plans across town, and my grandmother's name hadn't been said out loud at their table in years. So it was just me, a grocery bag cake, and a cemetery gate at 8 in the morning. Except it wasn't just me. A man was waiting beside my grandmother's headstone with a shovel, and in a way, he had been waiting there for 35 years. "She knew you'd come here on your 40th, he said. "She paid me in 1990. What he pulled out of that ground made me fall to my knees in the wet June grass. But here's the truth. The hole behind that headstone wasn't what broke my family in half. It was what my mother did 20 years ago, and what she was planning to do in 6 more weeks. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories, where family secrets come to light and quiet women find their voice. If stories about standing up for the people who loved you first speak to you, drop a comment below and be sure to subscribe. My birthday and my grandmother's cemetery visit have been the same trip since I was 20. Grandma Rose died in March of 2005, 3 months before I turned 20, and that June I drove out to Maple Hill because the grass on her grave was still seams and squares. I have gone every year since. Nobody ever asked to come along. That morning, my phone buzzed itself across the kitchen counter while I frosted the lemon cake. The family group chat was awake early. My cousin posted a waffle emoji. My mom wrote, "Brunch at 10, don't be late." And then, big family meeting Sunday, everyone required. Not one of them mentioned that it was my birthday. Not one of them ever remembered that it was also the day I went to see Grandma. To be fair, I'd stopped announcing it years ago. You get tired of watching people's faces do polite arithmetic. The cake was her recipe, the one she taped inside her cabinet door, written in pencil, lemon rind and buttermilk, and a warning not to rush the oven. I baked it every June because she baked it every June, and someone in a family should keep the stove warm for the dead. My old dog Biscuit took his spot on the back seat, gray around the muzzle, a professional at cemetery naps. The drive to Maple Hill takes 15 minutes, and one left turn past the feed store. I had done it so many times the car could have driven itself. But when I came through the iron gate that morning, something was different. A green cemetery pickup sat parked under the elm trees near Grandma's row, and a man stood beside it, not working, not mowing, just watching the gate. Watching, I realized, for me. I parked and carried the chair and the cake box down the row, and the man took off his cap and held it, which is a thing men his age do when they mean respect and are nervous at the same time. He looked to be in his mid-50s, sun-cured, forearms like fence posts. "Miss Grant?" he said. I stopped a few feet short. "Vivian," I said. "Do I know you?" "Walter Beam," he said. "I keep the grounds here. Have for 35 years. I told him the place always looked beautiful, because it did, and because I didn't yet understand why my mouth had gone dry. He turned his cap in his hands like a steering wheel. "Ma'am, I've been waiting on this particular morning for most of my working life," he said. "She knew you'd come here on your 40th. She told me you would. She paid me in 1990 to dig a small hole 3 feet behind her headstone when that day came." The cemetery went very quiet, the way a room does when someone says your name in a doctor's office. "Who did?" I asked, though there was only one grave in that row I'd ever brought cake to. "Your grandmother, Rose Hollis," he said. He pulled a cracked leather wallet from his back pocket, and from behind an old fishing license he slid a card, soft as cloth from handling, the ink gone brown. In careful cursive it said, "June 14th, 2025. For V. Wait for her. She'll come." My knees felt like borrowed furniture. Grandma had written that when I was 5 years old. "I check the obituaries every June, all these years to make sure you were still living," Walter said, and then he reached into the truck bed and lifted out a spade. I made him talk first. 40 years of being a careful woman doesn't dissolve because a stranger has pretty handwriting in his wallet. Walter didn't mind. He leaned on the spade and told it plain. In the spring of 1990, he was 21, brand new on the mowing crew, and a widow started coming around while the office set a double headstone for her and her late husband. Harold Hollis had died the fall before, in 1989, and Grandma did what steady widows did back then. She bought her arrangements ahead, all of it, paid in full. Except she didn't buy 2 plots. She bought the whole row of 4, under the elm. Folks assumed the extra 2 were for her children, Walter said. She never said one way or the other. What she did say, she said to him, the youngest man on the crew, the one she'd decided had a face that kept things. She paid him in cash, and she left a sealed envelope in the cemetery office safe with a date on it, and she made him swear. 3 feet behind her headstone, 3 feet down, on her granddaughter's 40th birthday, and not 1 day sooner. If the girl doesn't come, she told him, leave it in the ground. It belongs to her or to nobody. The cemetery changed owners 3 times over the years. Walter stayed through all of them, and so did the envelope in the safe, and so did the card in his wallet. 35 years is a long time to keep a promise, I said. It's the only thing anybody ever trusted me with, he said, so I figured I'd do it right. Then he walked around behind Grandma's headstone, measured off the distance with his boots, and cut the first square of sod. You would think watching a man dig a small hole would be boring. I stood there with my arms crossed over my ribs like I was holding a door shut, and I have never watched anything harder in my life. Walter worked slow and neat, the way he probably did everything, laying each spade of dirt on a tarp so the lawn would heal clean. Biscuit sat at my feet, ears up. The morning smelled like cut grass and coffee I'd forgotten to drink. A foot down, nothing. 2 feet, nothing. And my chest started doing a small, stupid hope math I couldn't shut off. Then the spade knocked. Not a rock sound. A flat, deliberate sound, like knuckles on a table. Walter knelt and swept with his hands, and a gray edge appeared, and it was a piece of slate